is He made you لِأَنفُسِكُمْ أَزْوَاجًا. He made for yourselves mates or opposites. The zawj is an opposite. So, you know, zawj is always the opposite. So we have two hands. We have a left hand, right hand, and even though they look the same, they're the opposite, right? And the same for the mate. So you have a zawj, which is the opposite. Zawaj is to. That's why you can't have a zawaj that's not with opposites in Arabic, linguistically. I mean, if you just look at the word itself, it's the mating of the zawj. So you can't have a zawj who's not your opposite. They have to be your opposite. So then Allah says, وَمِنَ الْأَنْعَامِ أَزْوَاجًا. And then in Surah Yasin, Allah says, سُبْحَانَ الَّذِي خَلَقَ الْأَزْوَاجَ كُلَّهَا مِمَّا تُنْبِتَ الْأَرْضِ. So He creates azwaj from even now we know the flowers and the tree, everything has opposites, right? And so He, وَمِنْ أَنفُسِهِمْ وَمِمَّا لَا يَعْلَمُونَ, from their own souls and from what they're not even aware of. Like we didn't know in the atomic world there's opposites as well. Everything is opposite, sama wal ard. And the Quran is filled with dyadic opposite. I mean, there's so many, samawati wal ard, right? Jannah wa nar, dunya wa akhirah, right? Hayat al-ula wa hayat al-akhirah. I mean, there's so many in the Quran because the Quran is a book of binaries. So once Allah establishes everything is in binaries, then He says, laysa kamithlihi shay. There's nothing like Him. In other words, He doesn't have a binary. There's no binary here. Allah is non-binary. He's the only non-binary. So people that are in rebellion against this creation, and Iblis, obviously, I mean, that's something the devil would really have a field day with, right? To make this argument that you're not made like that you make yourself. In other words, you're a God, so you can choose what you want to be. Whereas we're in submission to Allah. Allah made us what we are. We can't change X, Y, or XX. You can't do that. I mean, you can take hormones and change the physical makeup of your body, but you're still, the essence is the essence. Now look, laysa kamithlihi shay. So Allah says there's no mithal like Him, and the ka there is for it's a ziyada. So it doesn't mean there's not a likeness of His likeness, right? It's laysa kamithlihi, laysa mithluhu shay. What is the difference between ka and mithal in the Arabic language? See, ka, if I say Yusuf ka Ahmad, Yusuf is like Ahmad. He might be like Ahmad in his intelligence, but not in any other way. But if I say Yusuf mithlu Ahmad, I'm saying, and that's why the Arab, it means he's just like Ahmad. And this is why the Arabs say mithluhu tamaman, like he's exactly like him. They won't say huwa ka Zayd tamaman. They'll say, even in Amiyah today, they'll say mithluhu tamaman, because the mithal is the essence. There's no essence like God. There's no essence like God. وَهُوَ السَّمِيعُ الْبَصِيرُ. Those are attributes. So the essence of God is what's laysa kamithlihi shay. As far as the attributes go, the only way we can know God is because He's given us, وَفِي أَنفُسِكُمْ أَفَلَا تُبْصِرُونَ. He's created us in His metaphysical image. In other words, we have attributes like hearing and sight. I mean, obviously they're canceled out. They're not like God's hearing or like God's sight. But the only way we can understand that God has hearing and sight is because there's something that there's a tashbih. And this is where you have tanzih and tashbih. Right? So Allah is absolutely, anything that occurs to your mind, Allah is other than that. And yet, and that wow is not atf in the Quran. It's not atf. It means wow al-isti'naf. So it's saying yet, like despite that, laysa kamithlihi shay, yet huwa as-sami' al-basir. Right? like you can understand that because you are Sami' and you are Basir and you are Mutakallim and you are Hayy, right? You are Mawjood. So you can understand those attributes because وَفِي أَنفُسِكُمْ أَفَلَا تُبْصِرُونَ, in your own selves, don't you see? So لَيْسَ كَمِثْلِهِ شَيْءٌ كُلُّ مَا خَطَرَ بِبَالِكَ اللَّهُ خِلَافُ ذَلِكَ. Everything that occurs to your mind, Allah is other than that. And that's absolutely true. And any attribute, any number over infinity in mathematics is 0, right? If you have an equation, you have 8 over a sideways 8, which represents infinity. If you have 8 over infinity, there's no 8. There's nothing. So our hearing is canceled out with Allah, because Allah is all hearing, right? Without organ, He doesn't need udhun. He has no jariha. And yet, how do we understand it except through that attribute? So the essence of Allah is unknowable. We can never know Allah's essence, but His attributes are known through His creation. We know what mercy is because the Prophet even used the example of the foal and the mother. Do you think that mother would throw her child into a fire? And then he said Allah's mercy is greater than hers. So he was showing, here's mercy in the world. Now you can't imagine God's mercy, but here's a glimpse of understanding what mercy is. And so lugha is very important.